What's good, y'all? It's Crisco Fontaine, aka Coach Crisco. I know you see the title. It could be a reach, but I don't know. We don't know. The verdict is out. It's still very early. Could this guy, Zach Edey, 7'11", could he be just as good or better than Wemby? I just want to take a look at some highlights early on in the season of the pick and roll. This is a cheat code. You have Ja that is as explosive as anybody that is in the league right now. One of the most explosive players that we've ever seen. You got this guy, Zach Edey, that is easy to roll off of him, peel off of him, drop coverage, because you don't think of him as a threat. He's slow, flat foot, whatever, but you can't teach height, okay? So when you got something like this is hard to defend. When he's screening out that high, this guy right here, you can't even see the, hold on, I gotta get my pen out on this one. This guy right here, that's a horrible circle. He's in no man's land because he has to get Ja. So he's in drop coverage to get Ja, right? Okay, so he's in drop. He's trying to let this guy get back into the play. This guy right here. He's got to try to let him get back into the play. But all the time that he's doing that, Zach is rolling to the basket. He is in no way, shape, or form ready to even try to get back to defend that lob that's coming. That's all day. Do you know how they can spam this all game long? And if you play off of Ja, and he's gonna get to the basket, he can finish around the basket better than anybody in the league itself. So you got somebody that is, hold up, I'm just curious. Hang on one second. He's 7'4". So you got somebody that's 7'4" rolling to the basket off a screen, high screen and roll. And that was Brook Lopez. So, I mean, that's difficult for him to get back. That's difficult. If he plays off and he tries to get back on Edey right here, Ja has a straight path to the basket. How can you defend that? How do you defend that? If somebody comes off on the weak side, then you potentially leaving a shooter in the corner. Again, another screen and roll, not as high this time, but that was like a phantom screen, and it starts again. This time, Lopez does a better job of not committing as much, but he's still out of position all game. That's all game. That's all. How do you defend that? How do you defend that? That's the same thing that now Wemby has Chris Paul with him right now. That's the same thing that Wemby is able to do now. Chris Paul coming off the screen. You got high screen and roll with Chris Paul and Wemby. Wemby just rolled to the basket. You're playing drop coverage because you can do that a little bit more with Chris Paul, but I mean, he can kill you from the mid range, but you're not really worried about Chris Paul getting in deep to the basket and finishing like this guy Ja can finish. So you can play that a little bit better. But this tandem here with Ja and Edey, man, they can eat all day. I mean, they can really spam that all game, and it's hard for you to stop that. And you don't even have to talk about defense. Just defensively, even though what he lacks with foot speed, he's tall, 7'4". He's long, pause, long arms, 7'4". You can't teach height. So if you get beat, that's a fast guy. This is Schroeder. Spin move, boom. He's beat. You think you got a wide open layup, right? Get out of there. You can't teach that. Height is height. Height is height. You can't teach that. It's the same thing that he's going to put fear in people's hearts when it comes to going to the basket, just like Wemby did last year in his rookie season. These two giants, we talking about Chet Holmgren, and he's another big that you can put in that Wemby category when you're talking gigantic, long, lanky. But Edey, with his weight, like, he's solid too. He's not like those thin string beans. He's solid, and he can recover. Like, that's. You think he beat? He thought Schroeder thought he would beat up, so that's a clean spin move. Get it out of there. Get it out of there. That's all game. That's all game. Yes, he's slow. He's probably going to be the last person to get back. But look at this. Look at that. Look at that. He's capable of doing the exact same thing that Wemby is capable of doing. Dare I say it? Zach Edey, if he stays healthy throughout his career, and this is his rookie season, we talk about the trajectory that Wemby has, what he's able to potentially do. Zach Edey, I believe, has all the intangibles. He was college player of the year twice for a reason. All the people that was talking about him now, I saw Gilbert Arenas. Shout out to Gilbert Arenas and the entire Gil's Arena crew. I saw them plenty of times, especially Gil, saying that GMs would get in trouble if they drafted Edey with a lottery pick. How would you get in trouble by drafting the player consensus player of the year, college player of the year, 2-time player of the year, if you drafted him with a lottery pick just because he's 7'4" in today's NBA and he's slow? You can't teach height. I'm old enough to remember when a big man came through, and because he had height and he had some intangibles and he could develop, you drafted him. Michael Olowokandi comes to mind. Anthony Bennett a little bit later after that. There's a lot of big men that was drafted back in the day with the number 1 overall pick that didn't have the skills and the intangibles that Zach Edey does. And I think he was drafted, 10th? So I don't know how you would think that somebody like Edey wouldn't translate to today's NBA, even though today's NBA is more 3-and-D. If he can develop an outside shot, if Zach Edey can walk into a 3-point shot like that after blocking the shot on the other side of the court, because he's going to be the last one back. So if he can walk into a 3-point shot, he's got a center on him more times than not. That center is not going to be thinking, I have to meet him at the 3-point line. I have to meet him at the perimeter. He's not going to be thinking that. So if he can develop that, it's going to be almost impossible to defend this guy. Not too many people are going to be able to meet him at the rim. If you got Ja penetrating off a screen and roll and they're in drop coverage and he's rolling to the basket, it's going to be hard for you to play off of Ja and then recover to intercept any type of lob. You have to be a special type of player. You got to be a Giannis type or Bam, maybe. I don't know. Or AD or somebody like this. You have to be a certain type of player to have those intangibles to be able to intercept that play. That if they just spam the screen and roll, if this man can be a disruptor on the defensive end, on top of that, on a fast break, be the last man down the court and walk into an open 3-point shot and knock it down, he's going to be hard to defend. He's going to be very hard to defend. And I don't think this is much of a hot take as when I was thinking of before hitting the record button. I don't think it's that much of a hot take. I think that he definitely has the intangibles to be a Wemby type, or maybe even better than Wemby. When we look at 5-10 years down the line and he is healthy, this isn't like a Yao Ming situation. We're looking 5-10 years down the line. We could be talking about Edey and Wemby and not Chet and Wemby. Really trying to make this Chet Wemby, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type of rivalry. It could be Edey and Wemby. Or it could be Edey and Chet. It's just, Wemby has to evolve his game as well, and I think he has to bulk up a little bit. I don't think that thin frame of his. It's kind of like Giannis when he first came in, like a little baby deer, tall baby deer. I don't think that thin frame of his is going to be able to withstand 82 games for an extended career. So he's going to have to bulk up a little bit. Not too much because it's going to take away from his athleticism, I think. But if he bulks up a little bit, he'll be fine. And he'll be able to withstand being banged and all of that stuff. But I really like Edey. I really liked him. I liked him in college. I think Memphis was the perfect place for him to fall to. Ja is the perfect teammate for him. And I think he's going to do well. I really do. And like I said, if he stays healthy, he doesn't get berated with injuries and knee and foot and leg injuries because of his size, kind of a la Yao. Yao was a bit bigger. It's like a bit thicker, pause. But if he doesn't get berated with injuries and we're looking 5 years down the line, I definitely think we could be talking. We can have that conversation. We may be able to have that conversation. Who's better, Zach Edey or Victor Wembanyama? But let me know what you think about Edey in the comments. If you think that he will pan out to be a dynamic center, not just the typical throw it into the. I don't think that game is going to necessarily translate, because that's not necessarily what the NBA is now. But if he develops an outside shot, he's going to be a deterrent on defense. He has Ja. They can do the high screen and roll. He can eat off of that. If you think that he could be a dynamic center, dynamic big in the league moving forward, and if you think that he has the potential to, years down the line, exceed what we think Wemby is going to, the trajectory that Wemby has, if Edey has that same trajectory and they can meet, because I think that he has those intangibles. I think that he's good enough to do so. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate you for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe on your way out. See you on the next one.